Hi everyone, this is Akiko on YouTube in my new series called The Chubby Artist, named so because I cannot hide the fact that I have very chubby hands. So today I'm just going to show a little bit about how I draw a very simple self-portrait. You can see my mirror is placed on the desk right in front of me, and right now I'm laying out all of my supplies. I typically just use a mechanical pencil, 2 micron pens in a 5 and a 3. A 3 I use for smaller details, and then a larger brush pen for outlining. Right now I'm just sketching out some of the simple details. I usually like to start at the eyes because I feel like that's really where the center of the face is. And from there you can really tell out a lot of the rest of the face's proportions, like the eyes should be lined up with the ears and things like that. After that, I really start an outline with a simple brush pen that I have. I think that it creates like a bolder look to the outside of my drawing. It's not always necessary, but for certain things I really think it helps define outlines, and it looks a little bit cuter. Now I'm going to start defining some of the bolder lines with my micron pen in a 5. I start really in the places that I feel the most comfortable outlining boldly, because sometimes, no matter how many times you've practiced with a pen, it can always still a little bit surprise you how jerky or fluid the movements can be. So I don't recommend starting on smaller details first, just because you want to make sure you're really comfortable with the pen right then. After that, I move on to the Micron 3 pen for just some of the smaller details that I don't feel would be as well outlined by the larger pen. I recommend actually using a 1 for smaller facial details, but for this portrait, I didn't really feel like the very tiny details are what was important. After that, you just erase all of your pencil lines. Now I go through my Copic marker collection to choose the colors that I think will best fit my portrait. I typically try to find all light and dark shades of the same thing I'm working on, because it's always best, in my opinion, to work from a lighter shade and then go darker, because you're not always sure if the darker shade is really what you need. Another thing that I think is very crucial to have when you're working with Copics is a reference sheet. You can see here, I've taken some of the colors I'm less familiar with, especially regarding skin tone, and marked it out for future reference. That was how I was able to know which I should use. For my base skin tone, I'm using Pearl White, which I think creates kind of a base that you can use to make better shading on. Though I do believe that Cotton Pearl has a more true to skin color feel, I think it's really best if you have a lighter background to make Cotton Pearl really stand out. The next color that I'm going to add here, after I finish adding some additional shading with just the pen I had, is the Cotton Pearl. I like to use it for places that are a little bit pinker, a little bit more warm, but also anywhere really there's a shadow. If you wanted to add true shadow to the face, ivory is also a good choice. When adding shadows in places around the eye and other facial details, I think it's crucial to look back at your own face or at whatever reference photo you're using and really seeing where the basic shadows in the face are. And because, real life doesn't have any actual lines, when you've drawn lines on the face, I think it's crucial that you actually add some color over it just to give it more dimension and depth. For the lips, I'm simply using pink as my base because I feel like it makes a little healthy glow, and I'm going to add over it blush. And blush is actually one of my favorite light pink pens. I think it adds a lot of depth to just the standard pink that I have. From there, I wanted to add a little bit of details to the lips, so I used Redwood, which in this case was a little bit too dark for what I was using, but that's okay because of how great copic markers are for layering. I can actually pale it out a little by going back over it with my pink marker. I have very naturally pink cheeks, so going heavy on the blush was ideal for me, though obviously it looks extremely unnatural with just the blush, so going back over it with my skin tone pen was crucial. For some larger facial details and shadows like this is a really good idea to layer it like that because it helps smooth it out and make it look a little bit more like it's actually blended in with the rest of the face. From there, I knew I wanted to make freckles, and for me, really just poking out freckles doesn't look natural. So what I've done instead is I've made a little block around the area that I wanted to make freckles on, so that I could actually spray my marker over it. There are many ways you can do this, but I find the easiest way is just to take the lid and your brush pen and just kind of flip some of the marker ink out. When I wanted to work on my hair, I decided that it was best to work with the lightest tones found in my hair first. So I went with a pale yellow for my base, and then a lemon yellow and a cadmium yellow to darken it. To add more flow into my hair, I used a pale sepia to start introducing some of the brown tones found in my hair. Typically you want to follow the direction of the way your hair is going, and from there I knew I wanted to add even darker detail, but regular sepia was too dark. You can actually blend your copics by holding the darker color to the lighter color, which is the case that I did here. This way I was able to make my pale sepia pen just a little bit darker. From there I wanted to add a little bit of warm gray into my hair because I knew that it really helped add some depth, and also, if I really looked closely, I could see gray tones in my hair. So I started with a warm gray in 1 first, and then layered over it with some warm in 3, just to see if I needed. From there, I started to color my necklace using a pale sea green and a light blue. For my hoodie, I started with a little bit of an orange or red and vermilion to add some of those warm tones that I can see in my hoodie. I really just did a simple base layer, and then once I was done with that, I was able to add a little bit of darker shadows, just layering that same pen over itself. Once I was done there, I decided to bring out some more of the true red colors by adding even more layers and details with my crimson pen. I wanted to color in the little bit of tank top that I included in my portrait. I decided to use a marker, though it's acceptable to use a pen for those darker blacks as well. I just kind of wanted to use my marker because I don't always get a chance to use the black marker. For the eyes, I again started with my lightest green color, which, working up from lightest to darkest, I would go from green-gray to lime green to Nile green and ocean green. I typically use the darkest colors for the outside of my eye to just make a little bit more depth to it, and it's really important to look at the way your eye works and add colors where you think it's necessary. After I've finished coloring my portrait, I like to add a little bit of details and highlights using a white Uniball ink pen. I think it just adds a little bit of more kind of pop art look to it. I think it really helps bring out some of the highlights that I wanted to as well, especially on the eyes. To add highlights in your hair, you can go as realistic as you want to, but for my purposes here, I just kind of wanted to give some of the larger highlights, which meant I just kind of put it up at the top and a little bit on my hoodie too, just so it wouldn't look flat compared to the rest of the piece. Of course, this is totally optional, but sometimes when I draw either myself or a named character I have, I like to label it just because it's always a little bit fun to practice your calligraphy. I made the base in a dark green color and then added a little bit of depth by making a little bit of a half outline in a lighter green color and then adding highlights with my white Uniball ink pen. And there you go, that is my finished self-portrait, and it's typically what I use for all of my human character drawings. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if this is content that you want, and put something in the comments that you think I should draw next. I'm always open to new ideas. Thanks, and this has been the Chubby Artist.